Recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Shuster, for 5 minutes. Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The time for talk is over. The time for action has come. We are in a spending-driven debt crisis. Washington is spending money it doesn't have, and it's leaving the American people, our children and our grandchildren, with the tab. The national debt now stands at $14 trillion, which is equal to 95% of the economy of the United States. In his first 2 years in office, President Obama has added more to national debt than was added between 1776 and 1992, totaling close to $4 trillion in debt in less than 36 months. We are now borrowing 40 cents on every dollar. I was a small business owner before I came to Congress, and if I borrowed 40 cents on every dollar, my business would have been out of business. American families know that if they're borrowing 40 cents on the dollar, it's not long before they're in crisis. President Obama inherited an economy in distress. There's no denying that. However, practically every decision he has made and every policy he has pursued has made matters worse. Between a failed trillion-dollar stimulus, a trillion-dollar government takeover of health care, this administration has spent without restraint and without regard to our financial health. If spending is the problem, then controlling spending, Washington spending, is the solution. My colleagues stand on the House floor and talk about increasing revenues by raising taxes. But history tells a different story. We can raise revenues by lowering tax rates. President Kennedy did it in the 60s, President Reagan did it in the 80s, and even President Bush in 2000, when he lowered tax rates. What happened was not a decrease in revenues to the federal government, but an increase. In fact, in 2000, after the 2001, 2, and 3 tax cuts, we had record revenues in the federal government. Our problem is spending. That's why I joined my colleagues in voting to pass Cut, Cap, and Balance. By passing this legislation, the House stepped in and filled the vacuum of leadership left by the President of the United States in the debt limit negotiations. We acted to cut spending by over $110 billion, cap the growth of spending, and force Congress to balance its books through a constitutional balanced budget amendment. No one wants the United States to default on its debt. The consequences would be dire, not only for our economy, but for the world. However, we cannot continue down this path that has led us to this crisis. The House has acted. It's time for the President to step in and act as well. I yield back.